If you're enjoying Picketed Podcast, why not sign up to our Patreon? You can get access to loads of extra stuff. You get access to extra episodes every single week. You get access to giveaways that we do. We've done giveaways on rum, giveaways on NFTs, loads of sponsorship stuff. You get access to the Discord community. You get early access on episodes that are being released. You get to ask questions to our guests. There's loads of extra stuff that you get, and it starts from just £1 a week, £4 a month. Think about it this way. Would you miss an episode of Picketed if we didn't release one? Yeah? Well, would you miss £1 if it went out of your bank account? No? Well then, get yourself signed up to our Patreon, because by supporting the podcast, you're helping to make it possible. You're helping to pay for all of the recording space and all of the equipment. So please, if you do enjoy the podcast, check out the Patreon. You get loads of extra benefits, and a big thank you from me. Enjoy the podcast. This week's podcast is brought to you by Window World. Window World are the home of rock bottom prices on all of your UPVC windows, doors and conservatories. Right now they're doing a very special deal where you can get 8 windows and 2 doors for only £2,495. So if you're thinking about getting new windows or doors, if you want to upgrade yourself for 2022, then get yourself down to windowworldupvc.co.uk or give them a call on 0151 531 0056. That's Window World, the home of great quality windows and doors. Welcome to Picketed Podcast. Joining us today is comedian stroke comedy promoter. I was going to say comedy presenter then.
Yeah, more that though. I'm not a comedian anymore.
No, so you would say that you're total promoter then?
Yeah, well, I do compare, so whether that classes me as a comedian still.
Yeah, if you only compare your own, probably not.
No.
To be honest with you, just keep the budget nice and low, because I'm paying myself to MC. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So but full proper comedy promoter now.
That's all I do, just that promote, compare, and that's it. Well, work full time as well, but in comedy wise, just run my own gigs and that's it.
To be fair, if more people did that, then comedy would be so much better.
Yeah, I know. I think more people should. When I was doing comedy, I can never understand how you'd go to a gig that's run by a promoter, by a comedian, and it was dog shit.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not know how to set a room up?
It's kind of sometimes because they can't be asked.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think people have this fear of like technology, and I'm like this sometimes as well. Because when I had all this equipment, like I bought it all, but I needed somebody to come set it up, because I was just the thought of plugging things in and taking wires out was a bit like, oh Jesus.
I'm not that bad, like.
So I was just like, oh God, I don't want to fucking touch it. I don't want to ruin it. So
I suppose I had someone who'd done all my sound for me, but unfortunately he got killed in a tragic accident. But he would never tell me how to do it. He kept it to himself.
So your sound tech got killed in a tragic accident?
Yeah, he got electrocuted.
What?
Not on the job.
Oh right, I was going to say
one of my gigs. Like.
I was going to say, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, please welcome our first. Oh shit!
The giggle shock.
Yeah, we'll probably have an interval. We'll probably just 15 minutes. Go to the bar. Someone call 999. Shit, man. So he was like
he done everything, and he was like a proper sound engineer, because he used to do gigs like up and down the country for like rock bands, so he knew exactly what he was doing, but he would never let me in. It's like it was a big mystery.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about that, I'll do that.
Like mechanics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Ooh, mate, I'm getting that at the moment. So
that, love.
I got a new house, right, and it's like an old lady. It's like an old woman's house.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fucking shit that needs doing, basically. Yeah. And so I'm dealing with tradesmen, and I've not really had to deal with tradesmen before to this extent in my life. But what happens is, I mean, I've said before that it's like dating for the first time. It's like dating as a woman, right?
Right.
So what happens is you bring a guy around, you're not quite sure what he's going to be like, and then you make small talk for a bit, and you go, he's actually really nice.
Yeah.
He's actually a really nice guy. Oh my God, he's actually a really sound fella.
Even though he's a tradesman.
Yeah, and then you tell him what you want, and then he tries to fuck you. That's basically what it is.
And they generally succeed.
Yeah. They got, excuse me, it could be even the smallest thing. You go, oh, right, well, what I need, mate, is I need you to put a nail into that wall. And he goes,
has it got a joist, sporting joist on it?
Yeah.
You know, I learned years ago, right? Well, I just pure by coincidence, when I was still living at home with my mum, there was like some tiles had blown loose on the roof. So some fella came round. I was like, oh, mate, so I've noticed some of your tiles have come loose. I've been doing a job over the road, blah, blah, all the usual stuff. So I said, oh, yeah. I looked up and I don't know why the word joist just popped into my head.
Yeah.
I said, oh, is it the one just above the joist? He went, no, not that one there. It's like over to the left. He went, no. I said, come back on my mum's in because I didn't control the purse strings. So he came back later on. I'd gone out somewhere. My mum came back. He said, this roofer came around. I said, what did you say to him? I said, I just said about the thing on the joist. He said, like he thought you were a roofer. Because I said the word joist. Yeah.
So he thought that you were a roofer that couldn't be asked doing it yourself.
Well, yeah, he said he's very knowledgeable, isn't he, about that kind of thing? Does he work in the trade? No, he works for O2. But because I said the word joist, he thought, oh, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's what you've got to say. Just
got
think
the
about
lingo.
if you get an electrician round, just say something about earth.
Yeah, and then if it's a mechanic, you go, whoa, I think it's the can belt.
Big end's gone.
Yeah.
You'll get 50% off.
Yeah. Oh,
you know, I know you've. Sorry to interrupt. I know you've already had your anti-vaxxer podcast, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other week. You know, like sometimes you just have to do what an expert tells you.
Yeah.
What they say. So if you're getting some electrics done in your house or whatever.
Yeah.
And the fella comes round and says, you need this, and they shouldn't go, nah, fuck off. That's bollocks.
Exactly.
That's bollocks, that. I'll do it myself.
Exactly. And one of the things that I always tend to do, be it when I get somebody in to set up the podcast or like when I was getting my tattoos or stuff like that, I told somebody what I wanted. Yeah. And then I said, look, but I'm well aware that it might look a bit better if you change a couple of things.
Yeah.
And you have my full permission to do that. So, like, I'm not going to fucking be, exacting every measurement to you. You understand best how to do this. This is what I want. I'll leave you to it. And if you need to make changes along the way, you've got the autonomy to do that. And in every profession that I've ever worked with, that's the best way of getting things out of people. Because if you tell them exactly what no, I don't want that there, I want this here.
Oh, yeah, you start just dicking about with them.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they know what is best. They know what's best.
Exactly right. Sometimes in life you'll have to listen to the experts, whether you like it or not.
That's
take
why
the fucking vaccine, kids.
That's why experts exist. Just because,
exactly right. It's why we get paid to do what. It's why we get paid to do what we do in comedy.
Well, do you know what? I'm taking the vaccines, but I'm not having the booster. So
I've already had that.
Have you?
Yeah.
I was done with it. I was like, look, right. I was like, I've had COVID. Like, properly had it, not like, I think one of my friend's dad's friend gave it to me. I had COVID, and I had both vaccines. Yeah. And when I had COVID the first time, it was very, 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 very mild. Yeah. It has since mutated to become much milder than it ever was. Yeah. And I have had 2 vaccines. So in my head, I was like, I don't fucking need a booster.
No. Well, I got it because I got it in December because I'm older than you. So I got it when they still didn't know what Omicron was all about. We still don't know whether it's really bad or not. And I wasn't bothered about getting it. I don't give a shit about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm in a little predicament now because I've started booking a gig in Spain. Yeah. And they want people to be fully three-pronged vaccinated.
Oh, right, so you've got to do it.
And so I kind of resent getting a booster for something that I'm completely fine with just to go to a fucking country. I just find it silly. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I mean, are they going to... what's the alternative? Do I just wait until they change the rules? Or?
Well, anything, if the gig was in Thailand and you've got to go get your TB jab, you'd do that, wouldn't you?
Well, you don't have to get your TB jab.
Well, you have to... There are some... That's one that's recommended. There are countries where you have to get a jab.
So I mean, I did a tour of Asia. Yeah. Went to get my jabs, and I was leaving like a week later, and they were like, "You should have done this a month ago." Yeah. I was like, what? And they were like, it'll take a month for you to like be protected against this. And I was like, excuse me? And they went, I could give you a jab now, but it's just pointless. Yeah. So
you just went anyway?
Yeah, so I just went anyway.
Yeah. Well, there are places where you'd have to do it. And you would just do it, wouldn't you?
But to be fair, when I went out there, I was fucking terrified of getting dengue. I was fucking terrified. Yeah. So a couple of the guys who were out there had it. And it just fucking
Really?
Oh mate!
You're up in Thailand, or was this just
Indonesia specifically?
Oh, okay. You're up in like the jungles and stuff.
No, but it's not about jungle and stuff. It's about mosquitoes being around shit, basically.
Oh, okay, right.
And
okay, I think more
the shit everywhere in Jakarta. There's shit everywhere. So the dude who brought me out there, the promoter. He said that he had dengue 2 years ago, and there's 4 levels of dengue. Level 1 and 2 is like you're a bit ill. Level 3 is like you're fucked. Level 4 is like you'll die. But once you have like, so if you have level 4, then you can't ever get level 3, 2, or 1. You're immune. But if you have level 2,
so you won't get it, will you?
yeah, well, if you have level 2, then you're immune against level 1, but you could still get 3 or 4. That's kind of how it works.
Okay.
But the guy was like, I genuinely thought I was going to die. He led in bed for 2 weeks, could not move in bed, physically couldn't move, and he had to be like, his family had to like put a straw in his lips, and he could just about summon the will to fucking like suck. Like here's how bad it was. They got somebody around who was like a specialist in doing wills and stuff for like dying people, and he had to sort of like look from side to side about whether it was like a yes or a no for like questions.
Really?
Yeah, he was fucked. Yeah.
Well,
And then he got better. The end.
Thank God for that. It wasn't all inclusive or anything. Missing out for 2 weeks there.
I was shitting my pants, mate. I was fucking shitting myself.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So what we're going to talk about today is a really interesting topic that it seems to be in the news, and then it sort of quietens down, and then it goes back in the news again, and then it quietens down again.
Yeah.
And it is the issue of cladding.
Yeah.
And so the reason that we brought you on is because you live in one of these houses, or flats, I should say.
Yeah, apartment.
Apartment. Oh, I see.
He's on the river.
Not a flat, as apartment.
How dare you.
That's got cladding on it.
Yeah, it's got the I can't remember the technical, but it's the same cladding they had on Grenfell.
Yeah. Right, okay.
And some areas of the building
famously did not turn out well for anyone involved, did it?
At all. That's what's kind of, I was going to say sparked it all off, but that's not the right.
No, that's not the right. That's not the right thing at
That's
all.
what kicked it all off. Yeah, what happened there?
Yeah. And it's not like as well that they went, God, that was an atrocity. Let's make sure people are accountable. Like it's been the biggest fucking cover up.
Oh, mate, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's a thing like who should we make responsible for this? I know the people who live in them.
Yeah.
We didn't build them. We didn't sign it off.
Nothing
to do with it. Yeah, let's just make them pay.
So you live in a building at the moment that's cladded with the same shit that was on Grenfell, right?
Yeah.
So how long have you known about that?
I think it was beginning of 2019. They told us that they've got this cladding on, and I wasn't overly terrified. I wasn't scared that anything was going to happen because I'd lived there for years. And I wasn't even concerned about it getting replaced. Yeah. I thought they're going to replace it. It'll get sorted out.
Yeah.
Not.
So even though they told you it was the same cladding that was on Grenfell, you weren't that bothered.
Well, I wasn't scared. I mean, obviously it wasn't made up.
Yeah.
But I wasn't scared because the Grenfell was, not 1,000,000 to 1, but it was highly unlikely that kind of thing.
Sure.
Happen. It's only because the fire. It was like an electrical fault, wasn't it, in an appliance?
Yeah.
And it spread. Somehow the fire got outside and touched the cladding outside.
Yeah.
If it stayed within the flat, it would have been all right.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, the chances of it happening were so slim. And I thought, well, it'll get replaced at some point. I'm not going to lie awake at night terrified of it.
How many people are there in your flat, roughly? Like, not in your flat, in your, a building?
So in the build, there's 6 floors, 8 flats on every floor. So 6, 8, 40.
Yeah, 48, something like that.
48, yeah.
50
so
something.
Say most people aren't sad bachelors like me, so there's a couple of them. So you probably talk, 100 people in each.
Yeah. I used to live somewhere that was similarly, probably a similar size.
Yeah.
And for me, it's amazing that even though it's not necessarily a big, like a big place, it's not like it's thousands of people or anything. The diversity of opinion amongst people within it's different. So when we used to have like community meetings and stuff, nothing would ever get done because some people were completely set in one way of going and some people were completely set on the other way of going.
Well, that's committees for you, isn't it?
Well, this is it. And so I imagine that you're like on the spectrum of like, I'm not arsed, but I imagine that there'd be some people who live in your apartment block that fucking shit themselves.
Oh, there's been people who've really suffered with proper like mental health.
Are you on like, do you have like a WhatsApp group?
No, there's a few couple of Facebook groups, but there was a fallout. Just like you were saying.
No! Yeah. So there was an official Facebook group and then there was a splinter group.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
There was, yeah. So it's like, what was happening was, really bizarrely, I don't know why. So we have like a management company.
Yeah.
And this management company were kind of feeding us information. But we were obviously trying to get a campaign together and we were almost fighting against the management company because they weren't giving us much information. So everything we were trying to do demonstrations or whatever. Somebody in this group was feeding back to the management company, this is what we're going to be doing.
No.
So whenever we started doing something,
fucking
they were like, why are you? They were like,
what a little rat.
I know.
Did you ever find out who did it?
I think some people knew who it was, but I might, because I don't really care about much, to be honest. I was like,
No,
well,
but at the same time, it's like,
just weird.
dude, why are you siding with the management?
Yeah.
What sort of a fucking...
what are you going to gain from that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The group was set up to help us all.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether they thought, well, if I'm in with the management company, they might sort me out first.
Oh, God, that's prison rat behaviour, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, if the screws like me, then they'll stick up for me.
Yeah.
No, they fucking won't.
They'll fuck you over. Like they could have separated their apartment from everybody else's.
Yeah, exactly.
So another one got set up. And then luckily, there's a woman called Judy Fraser. If she listens to this, she's a legend. She's like been in the forefront.
Go on, Judy.
Big Jules. No, she's not big. I don't know why I said that.
Go on, big fat Jules. Go on.
Well, you know, sorry, Judy. She was like this part. They called the Gladiators at Liverpool. That's what they call themselves.
Shut up.
Yeah. It started off in Manchester. The Manchester Gladiators.
Really?
They took the government on. And
is that how they're getting rid of the cladding? They're getting Wolf to fucking scale it and strip it down.
Going to twat it off with pugil sticks and that.
Contenders ready!
Eunice Hookhart's going to come and get rid of it all.
Gladiators ready! Come on, Big Jules!
No one's going to take on Big Julie.
Don't get caught by Hunter, Big Jules, for the love of God.
Yeah.
There'll be people, there's kids now who have no frame of reference to what Gladiator is.
No, they can't. Didn't he bring it back, but on Channel 5?
Oh, it was dreadful. Yeah, but without like Wolf. But I think they brought Wolf back because they knew that he was the charismatic one that everyone needed.
Yeah, but
he was like 70, and he was like, "Oh, I'm old and bad." It's like, nah, mate, you're a pensioner.
Yeah, he was fucked. Well, he was on the cusp of being fucked in the 90s, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Anything.
Oh, mate, yeah, but there's actual like 20-year-olds, and you're Gladiator, and they're like, "I've got no idea what you're talking about."
I used to love that. I used to watch that and then Baywatch, and then go out on a Saturday night. That was my going out Saturday night ritual.
Really? So when you were 18, you'd watch TV and then go out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Back in the days, I didn't live. We didn't do prees like these kids do.
Did you not?
I lived at home with my mum and dad, so I couldn't do prees with my mum and dad. Like,
really?
No. Oh. And this is like mid-90s as well, so it's, it wasn't as big as it is now.
And also as well, it was like alcohol wasn't like fucking £7 for a fucking cocktail. No. It was
I had a couple.
80p for a mild. Yeah. You could just get on with it.
Wasn't that long ago, Freddie? Fucking. I was getting taxed.
So you've got the Gladiators.
Gladiators, yeah. So it started off in Manchester. So I can't remember the guy's name, but they basically said we found out. Obviously, we found out we had the problem with the cladding. Then we were like, okay, well, I'll get sorted. And then we found out that they were going to make us pay for it.
Yeah.
Are you having a joke? When someone told me that, I started laughing. I went, don't worry about that. That's so ludicrous that is not going to happen.
Okay.
But it turns out they were fucking serious and they were going to do it.
So when you say they, you mean the government or the management company? Or
well, I guess it was a mixture. So ultimately, it's not the government's fault, as much as I love to blame everything possibly on them, because I fucking hate them.
Whose fault is it?
So it's basically a culmination of it's the people who were building them in the first place. I guess you could say there's a whole chain. The people who are making the materials.
Yeah, well,
probably.
This is it. But a lot of them are abroad, aren't they? They're overseas.
Right, yeah.
So a lot of these builders, because when I heard about this, and I've been in a similar situation to you, in that I've lived in a flat.
Yeah,
apartment. I've lived in an apartment that has been flooded several times, and I've had to work with a management company to fix that problem. So I know exactly what it's like when you're in somewhere that is built wrong, and the management company's trying to save as much money as they can.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we just need to do this tiny little thing and nothing else. It's not even a problem.
Yeah.
And you go fuck yourselves. You need to do this properly. It's my house. And they go, oh well, maybe this time you could pay. We need you to make a concessionary payment. And you go, no, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And it's a constant battle because the management companies and stuff,
They never, ever, ever. I think they're meant to be, on paper, a mediator between the people who own the building and the tenants. But in reality, they side with the people that own the building 100% of the time because that's who pays their wages. So what happens really is it's just somebody who tries to get us. Do you know what they're like? They're like agents. Do you know, like when you try and book a comedian, and you're like, I know that this comedian is going to go out for this much, and the agent's like, oh well, it'll be that much plus that, and you go, no, just this much, and they go, oh, accommodation and travel, and you go, no, this much, and they go, well, maybe if they could do new material, and you go, shut up! You just want to
just chucking different caveats in.
Yeah, and you go, I know you're trying to fuck me. Stop trying. Stop trying to fuck me.
We know what's happening.
Yeah.
We know what's happening. Let's just fucking do it.
Yeah. I'd have more respect for you if you just went, I'm trying to fuck you. What do you want from me? I'm trying to fuck you. You know, like, right. So anyway.
So there's the people who make this stuff. Then there's the people who decided it was fit enough to go onto the building. Then there's the people who, like the local councils, there would have been a building safety engineer or inspector that signs it off, whether that was done.
Well, I was totally, when I first heard about this, I was like, of course residents shouldn't have to pay. Of course not. That's stupid.
Yeah.
The builders should have to pay because they fucking built it wrong. Yeah. But what a builder would say is they would say, no, I didn't build it wrong.
Yeah.
I got these materials that the government told me to get and told me were safe, and I built them with that because that's what they told me to do.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me to take it off and lose, £750,000 or whatever. Yeah. And I'm not about that life, hun. Do you know what I mean? And I can actually... Look, if it's a massive multinational, and we're talking about
most of them are.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's a smaller one where that money would cripple the business, it makes it harder to say it is your fault because it kind of isn't really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But then someone's got to be accountable
this is the hardest thing. Is I don't know whose fault it is.
Yeah. Well, I see a lot of the buildings were signed off as safe when they weren't, so they shouldn't have been.
Oh, really?
Signed off. Yeah. Ours wasn't one of them, but there are buildings up and down the country where, they've said, this is actually safe. Some of them. So luckily, ours is okay, but some of them didn't have fire exits in, for example.
No.
But they didn't have fire breaks. So I didn't know what a fire break was.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just a gap between the buildings. So if there is a fire,
like
the whole thing with Grenfell was, because one of the things that because the government fucking blamed the fire service ultimately. Said it was their fault because the advice they gave was stay inside your apartment. That's the safest place to be. Where generally it would be because it'll be contained inside that flat. It's only because it broke outside that's what the problem was.
Yeah.
So
I mean that's why they did so many. That must have been, by the way, absolutely fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
When every ounce of your because when you see fire, it's a primal urge as a primate to want to just run away from it because you go fire bad and you just fucking leg it. You know what I mean? And that's like it's an animal instinct. Do you know what I mean? If you put any fucking fire in front of any animal, they go, ooh, fuck no. Do you know what I mean? There aren't many like dogs that go, I'll have a bit of that and just run straight into it.
Straight into a fire. And then there's the smoke and stuff.
Totally, it's a primal instinct.
Yeah.
Now, if you're being told by somebody on the phone who is in the position of power, the position of authority, no, you need to stay in your flat, and you can see the fucking things coming up, you think...
You would leg it,
the fuck do you... Well, I don't know what you... because the thing is... It reminded me of the Milgram experiment. You know what the Milgram experiment is? So the Milgram experiment it was about how people will sort of blindly follow orders from people who they perceive are in positions of power, regardless of whether or not they think those orders are just or moral or correct.
Right.
So what they did, and you probably haven't heard of it being called the Milgram experiment, but you'll definitely have heard of the basic concept of the experiment. So they had a person in a room, and they had a guy with a white lab coat, and they had like a dial, right?
Yeah.
And the guy was like, all right, turn the dial up to 1. And he'd turn it up to 1, and then there'd be a sound from the next room, and they'd play like a silhouette, so they could kind of see somebody, and it'd be a guy going, oh, that tingles. And it was a guy who was clearly on like a hooked up to the electric or whatever.
Yeah.
And I turn it to 2, and he was like, ow, that hurts a bit. And it was like, turn it up to 3. It's like, fuck. fuck? No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. You can hear them arguing. Sit down.
Yeah.
Turn up to 4, and the guy's like, fuck. Ow, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you? And then the guy's like, turn it up to 5. And you can see at this point that the person's like, oh, I don't think I should be turning this up anymore because this appears to be having a very bad negative effect. And all the person would do is the person in the lab coat would keep calm and just go, turn it up to 5. And then they go, okay, turn it up to 5. And the guy'd be like, fuck, like this. And the guy'd be like, I think he's really, I think we should probably help this guy.
Right.
And they go, nah, 6, turn it up to 6. And they basically kept going until the guy was pretended to be dead.
Oh, okay.
But a ridiculous amount, like a stupid amount of people would keep going until that person would die. And you can watch the video of the Milgram
because
experiment.
He's been told what.
Yeah. So because he was wearing a lab coat, they perceived him, he's a scientist, he knows what he's doing. So even with all that external information of somebody screaming for their lives, going, fuck, they're going, right, well, no, I think it's, okay. So, and you can see as well, you can actually watch the Milgram experiment on YouTube, and you can see like the participants, and they're really like, oh, I don't think that this is, and it's just
because it kind of fucks what we were saying about the vaccine before, then, doesn't it? Trusting experts.
Well, this is it. I mean, some people will blindly trust authority. But it's in that sort of situation, so you don't have time. For example, with the vaccine, you have time to do your own research, and you go online and Google, and what happens is you think you become an expert as well.
Yeah,
and that's kind of where the problem is. But in this immediacy of a situation, it's like you don't have time to check that person in that room, so you don't have time to do your own diagnostics. You're just going off
what you're being told.
You have to blindly trust, and it's the same with the whole Grenfell thing. You had to blindly trust.
Well, yeah, and you would do, and I suppose you probably look outside your apartment.
Yeah,
and,
you almost said flat. You almost said flat. By the end of this, I am going to get you to accidentally say flat, and I'm going to fucking lose it.
Guarantee not. If you put a lab coat on, I might do it. But what was I saying then?
You were saying outside the apartment. Fine.
Yeah, so it would just be in thick black smoke anyway, so you couldn't see. Mine's only I'm only 4 floors up. You'd be more likely to just leg it and get out.
Yeah.
But mine. Going back to what I was saying before, ours has got fire escapes and stuff anyway. And fire breaks, but some of them didn't, so they shouldn't have been signed off, which is ultimately the problem. So so there's a whole number of people that not always responsible because they said they were told this stuff was safe. They might have believed it was or wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But ultimately they had to do it. So, but somebody has to pay the price, and it shouldn't be the people who are living there. So this is where governments step in.
Yeah.
Because people are saying, "Oh, why should the government pay it? It's not their fault." Blah blah blah. But this is what governments are there for.
Yeah.
This is why you pay your taxes, because when you're in the shit, they've got to come in and sort it out.
Yeah.
We were never saying, because we got in the Daily Mail last year, and you can imagine what their readers are like. So we went online. So some people
you don't have to tell me.
Yeah, everyone knows they're all
I've been making online content regularly for years, and I know that people will disagree about
anything.
Mate, right. So here's the thing, right? So I used to be not semi-arsed, but I'd pay half attention to what was going on in the comments. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes when people are like, "Oh, who's this fucking knobhead?" You'd be like, "Oh." But then during lockdown, I wanted to upskill. I wanted to get a new skill, so I learnt Premiere Pro, right? And I found a YouTube video on Premiere Pro, and it was a guy who was a professional filmmaker and videographer. And he was like, "Hi, my name is fucking Dave," or whatever. "I am going to teach you every single thing I know about Premiere Pro, and we are going to start at opening the program for the very first time. And by the end, you will have enough knowledge to edit an independent film on Premiere Pro however you want. And if you're somebody who only wants to do a little bit of these things, I've time-stamped every fucking technique, so you can just pick and choose if that's what you prefer." It's about 5 hours long, the video, whatever. Let's get started. And I watched it, and I saw at the bottom, there's likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
There was 374 dislikes.
Why? Why the
374 people were like, "What's that? someone giving me free knowledge
Yeah,
about their career for free.
Yeah.
No. And it's like, what did you expect from clicking on the video? It was just, but it was that moment where I was like, people will literally dislike anything.
Oh, they do it for anything, yeah. There was because hot water, I think they still do. They put or anything you do hot water always gets put out onto the...
They've started to be a little bit more selective now, but generally speaking.
So I went up to do some new stuff, and someone commented, "This is the reason that the Runcorn is so shit."
This is the reason that Runcorn's so shit.
Because of me, I mean, Runcorn, you can say it's shit for a number of reasons. I don't think I'm one of them.
I don't think Runcorn's that shit, to be honest with you. It's just it's quite an interesting place, Runcorn, in that it's totally, in my head, just like, just a
Well,
place.
it's got loads of stuff. We don't get many outsiders coming in.
No.
But, whether you think it's shit or not, I'm not responsible either way.
It's just a place.
My comedy
It's
not.
just like it's just a place, Runcorn. It's not like not Runcorn. It's just like...
Or it's like, Runcorn, let's go there on our holidays. Although it used to be a holiday destination.
Runcorn is like, in my head, Crystal Palace. Like, it's just, as a football team, they're just there. Yeah. They're just, 14th. Do you know what I mean? Like, and just chilling. You know what I mean? Like, no one's ever going to go, I've got Crystal Palace at the weekend, we're going to definitely win that. But no one's ever going, fucking hell, Crystal Palace, shit. That's going to be a tough place to go. Selhurst Park. So,
I never had Runcorn compared to a football team before, but it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just an average sort of thing. So,
nice apartments in.
What were we talking about? What were the comments on the Daily Mail?
Yeah, so it was like, some people were pretty nice, and oh God, what a terrible situation, if we get sorted out. Some were like, what, these morons made bad investments and now we should pay for it? Don't think so.
Well, I mean,
it was just it's our houses, we were living there. This is going to be an amazing investment.
I mean, I don't understand. I don't know. I don't understand that. Like on one step, like it's like, okay, so if I did buy a house and there was like major subsidence issues, it'd be on me to fix that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's like, it's doable for me to fix because it would be at the most, a low 5-figure fee.
Yeah.
I'd have to get a loan out, but it would be fixable.
Yeah.
But some of these cladding things is like...
we were talking like £50,000-60,000 each.
Yeah, that's insane.
To get it done, where are we supposed to find that?
Yeah, it's not like home renovation money.
No.
So it's not like if there's a bit of damp in your property and you got to spend $5,000 getting rid of it.
Yeah.
This is like money that is it's years and years' wages.
Yeah, and on top of that, the value of your house is worth next. One of the houses got valued at £1.
Oh.
And it only got valued at £1 because every financial transaction's got to have a monetary value.
Yes, in order for it to
minimum
be
is £1.
a contract.
Yeah.
A contractually obligated thing. There has to be a contract offer and acceptance.
Yeah, for AVA. That's why you hear about football clubs going for £1.
That's
why.
Well, I'll tell you something as well. I'll tell you
Crystal Palace again, is it?
I'll tell you how I know that. No. Right. It's a good story, this. So when I was maybe about 18 years old, I really wanted to be on telly, which is strange because now I am absolutely ambivalent to it and couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that I'm not asked about at all. But back then when I was about 18, that was like the best.
As a comedian, you wanted to be
No. I just wanted to be on telly. But I think that there was a culture of that at the time, more so than there is now. I applied to go on, do you remember Shipwrecked?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Now, Shipwrecked, for those people that don't know, is a reality TV show where there are two islands of incredibly attractive people.
Yeah.
And whoever's island has the most people wins.
Yeah.
And every week there's new people that come and have to choose which island. So you have to make your island better, but also as well, you have to be more worth living with. Do you know what I mean?
It's one of those E4 type Channel 4.
Yeah, totally. But here's the thing with Shipwrecked. Everybody who was on it was insanely fit and good looking. And like they were all like 27-year-old fucking models called Brad.
And you wanted to go on that?
Yeah, and I was like an 18-year-old pudgy fucking kid that was like, I'd quite like to go on. And they were like, absolutely not. Hey, do you know what? I'll tell you something, right? I remember the interview process for it. I didn't get past the first round of interviews, right? So there was about 5 of us, right? And there was a producer, and she goes, why do you want to go on Shipwrecked? And the first guy was like, well, I just feel like it'd be a good experience, like going out at the moment, like, and just going around town's a bit boring, so I just want to do something else, And she was like, all right, okay. Why do you want to be on Shipwrecked? And this woman was like, oh, well, like, I just think like I'm really bubbly and I'm just like really funny and that, and I'm just like a really nice person. So, and then they said to somebody else, why do you want to be? I want to challenge myself, like I used to be in the army and I challenged myself there, and so I'm going to challenge me. And they asked me, and I can't remember what I said, but I said some fucking nonsense. And then they asked this girl at the end, right? And this girl had come dressed as a prostitute. Like, I'm not even lying. She was wearing like this really low cut red top, shitloads of makeup and a tiny little skirt. She literally looked like she was gonna fucking solicit for. She's wearing like knee length, like black shiny boots as well. Like really, like I've dressed up as a prosy for Halloween, right? And so they asked her. They said, "Why do you want to be on Shipwrecked?" And she went, "Because I've just found out that my boyfriend was cheated on me, and I'm going to get back at him by going on that island and fucking every single lad on there." And all of us were like, what?
Pick me.
And they went, literally, the producer went, thank you very much, everyone. You four go that way, you go that way. Yeah. And that was the end. And that was the moment where I was like, oh, yeah, that's what this is. Anyway, back to the whole £1 thing.
Differently.
So, there was a production company that got in touch with me. I think I'd just started stand-up, right? Yeah. And they were like, do you, like, we've got a TV thing for you. And I was like, I've been doing stand-up 6 months. And so I think I was like 20. And so I was like, well, maybe this will be the big break in my career. Yeah. And they were like, okay, so here's what it is, right? We're going to be exploring diets in history, right? Like the greatest diets in history, and it's going to be a really interesting and fun show. There's going to be loads of opportunities for you to be funny, and off the back of it, we're actually thinking of doing a spin-off show. Like Big Brother's Little Brother or whatever. Yeah. And you could probably present that. And so I was like, fucking hell, this is my big fucking moment or whatever. And they said, it's 3 weeks filming, and you get to stay in this luxury spa in the middle of fucking, somewhere posh. And we're going to be filming in that, but there'll be so much, it'll be great for you networking as well. Think about, people would kill for this opportunity and stuff, like meeting all these directors and stuff. It's huge for your career, this. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. I was like, how much do I get paid? And they were like, well, you get paid £1. And the reason for that is because we need to have it as like, we've given you something, you've given us something back. It's the way that the contract is considered, solid. We have to give you something monetary. Yeah. But don't look at it in terms of money. Look at it in terms of what you will be getting, because I reckon this will launch your career. And in my head, I'm like, well, this is my big shot. This is my big chance. But there was something about it that didn't quite ring true. Yeah. And I was just a little bit like, huh. And I remember it was the night before they needed the contract back, right? And I still hadn't signed it, and I was umming and ahhing. And in the end, I thought to myself, do you know what? Like, if I was destined to do this, then I would know about. I'd feel more strongly about it. Yeah. The fact that I'm not, the fact that something's not right, I need to trust my instincts.
Yeah, you always got to go with your gut.
So that's what they said. And so I said no. And then immediately, and this was 11 o'clock at night, the night before, they were ringing me and they were going, what do you mean? No, you said yes. You've said yes this whole time. You need to sign the contract right now. You need to fucking sign it. And I was like, I don't need to do anything. And they was like, yeah, well, do you know what? You've already signed it. We've got it in emails. We've got it in emails that you've agreed. You're already under contract. You have to come. And I went, no, I don't. I said, no. I said, the reason that you wanted me to sign this was for that reason. I said, I'm not going. And they fucking hounded me and pressured me like fuck for about 45 minutes. And it got to nearly midnight. And I said afterwards, I said, I'm not responding to any more of your phone calls. I'm not doing it. That's the end of that. Because in my head, I was like, oh, this was a good idea to turn this down. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Anyway, that was the end of that. And then about 3 months later, a program came out, and it was not called The Greatest Diets in History. It was called like Britain's fattest, stupidest cunts. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, hey, look at these big, fat, stupid cunts. They're being big and fat and stupid, and they're trying out some diets from history, but they're big and fat, so they'll probably just fucking eat the diets, the big fat cunts. Yeah, and so, mate, it was an exercise in humiliating fat people.
There was loads of them, wasn't it?
So there was one exercise where they made them play table tennis naked. And it was just like, for no other reason than to be like, look how fat they are. They had somebody on the show, and they'd explain the show to me, and you know, quote unquote, let me know everything that I was going to expect.
Yeah.
They didn't tell me that there was a woman called the matron that they decided to bring in for a bit of drama. And what her job was is she was dressed like a fucking One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest nurse.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? 1940s Nurse Ratched style, long fucking white nurse gown, those white stockings.
Yeah, like Hattie Jakes.
Yeah, like fucking tight curlers in her hair and a big fucking stern grin that could kill an erection on sight. Do you know what I mean? And what she'd do is she would just scream at fat people. So she, you're fucking disgusting, and all this stuff.
Oh my God.
And there was never any like presenting things, the whole thing. It was all total bollocks. They basically told me whatever and they did a really good job of. I mean, I was young, I was really naive, but I'm not a stupid person.
No, looking at it, because imagine if you'd have gone on that would have been horrific.
Oh yeah, it would have just been a horrible thing for a young person to have to do, and it would have been like a bit of a confidence killer, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were really good at like just telling me what I wanted to hear, so that I would be interested in it. Because if they'd have rung me up and gone, "Hey, do you want to be on Britain's fattest fat cunts?" I'd be like, "No, I don't. But thank you for the call."
Yeah.
But they were like, "Hey, look, we need a presenter." And then the minute that I heard that, I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm interested."
So probably everyone was getting. They probably found out whatever someone's ambition was. Oh, we need someone to do that. We need someone to do this.
This is exactly it, mate. This is exactly it. But that's how I know that you need to have £1 as a minimum sort of transaction. So So back to cladding. That's right. We took a segue. We're getting back in. We're getting back on.
Well done, yeah.
So
Britain's stupidest cunts living in flammable cladding. We get that one on next.
So you've got a 50 grand bill as it stands, have you?
Well, so luckily for us, it's been sorted out now.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things. So this guy Robert Jenrick was the housing minister.
Yeah.
Complete gobshite.
Why? What did he do?
So he would just, you know what? Well, they're all politicians. All politicians are kind of the same, but obviously I fucking hate the Tory party, so I'm kind of biased towards that. But they just come out and they just say the right things, just to kind of tick you along. You know, it's right that we look into this. It's only fair that we do the right thing. We're going to put it on this bill. All he kept doing was just kind of nudging the can down the road. Wouldn't really make anything accountable. But then they went down this road of, well, what we'll do is we've come up with this very, very generous loan scheme.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this.
Very generous loan scheme, which was, and it'll cost nobody more. It won't cost a single penny piece more than £50 a month. And you go, oh, well, from the outside, you think, well, that doesn't sound too bad. Bear in mind, your apartment's worth fuck all.
Yeah.
So you can't sell that. What the cladding gets taken off, you get it's called the EWS 1 form, I think.
Yeah.
Which is the security certificate you've got to have to be able to sell a property, which ours don't have at the moment.
Shit.
So you need to get that. So you might get that. They'll take the cladding off. They'll put whatever fucking monstrosity on top of it. But then you can't sell that apartment because you've got to say, well, by the way, as well as paying your rent or your mortgage, and you got to pay the management fees, there's a £50 loan to the government to replace all that cladding.
Yeah.
Like, you know what, mate? Fuck that.
Yeah. That cladding is the same cladding as they have on Grenfell.
You may have heard of the Grenfell incident.
And now on to the master bedroom. Like, it's a real tough sell, isn't it?
Yeah. What did you say, Grenfell? No, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was just pushing this very generous, as they call it, like the generous furlough scheme, which was our fucking money in the first place.
Yeah.
Started on that fucking shit. Anyway, yeah. So he was just very good at saying the right things, and he'd just go out to the press saying, "Yeah, it's all been sorted out now. We're gonna," and it wasn't. But what they didn't say, the point I was making before, about the fire breaks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of the buildings, which we didn't know wasn't us until about this time last year, a lot of the buildings had all these internal issues. What the government didn't say, or Robert Jenrick didn't say when he was in the House of Commons and when he was on the news was, if you live in one of these apartments that's got these internal problems, we're not giving any money until you've sorted out that stuff inside, and you're paying for that.
Whoa!
So some of those bills were as big as the cladding.
So there were people who their buildings were not fire safe because they didn't have the fire bricks or basic fire eggs. Now, that was built incorrectly by the builders.
Yeah.
There's no, I got it from overseas. I thought it was safe at the time.
Yeah,
There's none of that. It is just you were being a cunt.
Yeah, well, and some cunt has signed it off. So the builders go, well, we built it. He signed it off.
Oh,
and then the person who signed it off will say. And another thing that happens
But that's corruption, that, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, they know. They fucking know.
You keep quiet.
I follow this guy on TikTok, right? He's a building inspector for new builds.
Yeah.
And he's got this really strong but beautiful Welsh voice. And so he's going round.
Ted Owen.
Yeah. He's going round and he's like, look at this one. I can't do Welsh. Look at this one. They've not even installed any weep vents. It's absolutely shocking. Like that. And, mate, it was brilliant. But you watch him and you're like, holy shit, these people will fucking build any old shit.
Oh, they will. And there's a place, I think it's called the Strand in Liverpool, because I went to a demonstration. Have you ever seen Queen Victoria's cock in Liverpool? They got that. There's this statue of Queen Victoria, and she's holding like a big. Is it called a mace or something?
A what?
Is it called? What's the big? Is it? I'm sure it's called a mace.
It's like a big stick with a ball on the end with spikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mace.
No, not that. It's not that. It's not got spikes on it. It's not,
okay.
It wasn't Boadicea.
Okay.
But anyway, she held this big thing, and from a certain angle, when you walk past, it looks like she's got a big cock.
Oh, right.
Anyway,
okay.
the demonstration was out there, and round the corner from Queen Victoria's cock, this building called the Strand, which pretty much looks like it was made out of cardboard. It's rotten. It's got all the worst things you can ever imagine on it.
Yeah.
But what happened was the company that built it, as soon as they finished building it, immediately went bust.
Oh.
And a lot of companies do that.
Yeah.
So they'll get these contracts, they'll throw any old shit on it, get it done, go bust.
Yeah.
So when anything goes wrong, there's no one to sue. But then they'll start another company under a different name, and it's all legit. They let them all do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is corrupt as fuck.
It's awful. A lot of it is. Yeah, and then so the cladding is now getting sorted out. The person, and I believe it or not, right, Robert Jenrick moved jobs. He went to a different post. Michael Gove took over. So he thought, fucking hell. King Slug has taken over.
Yeah.
Honest to God, Freddie, like that, he sorted it.
Really?
Yeah. My friend, Small Julie, that we mentioned before.
Oh, yeah.
She,
very trim and petite Jules.
Oh, of course, yeah. She looks marvellous.
Yeah.
She went on meetings with him, because she comes to my giggle shacks. And she said within 20 minutes of speaking to him, you could tell the difference between him and Robert Jenrick. He was very methodical, because he's from like a finance background.
Yeah.
So you're just thinking about all the facts and figures, and he's like, right, we're going to get this sorted out.
Yeah.
And like, well, a lot of people have said that, but he seemed genuine.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 months later, it's on the verge of getting sorted out.
Wow.
They've decided that they're going to put, the government's paying for some of it, and they're putting a levy on other companies to basically get that money back.
I mean, that makes the most sense, doesn't it?
And Taylor Wimpey or Taylor
Wimpey, yeah.
They were the ones who built our apartments. Actually, this is another thing as well. So there's this 18-meter rule. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, so if a building is above 18 meters, there's got to be different safety regulations in place.
Oh yes, I have heard of this.
So they basically say if it's below 18 meters, then it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's completely safe. So what happened? Because my brother was quite high up in the fire brigade. He's retired now, the jammy fucker. But so they said if it's above 18 meters, you've got to have all these different things in place. Below that, it's not as dangerous. It's fine. So all of a sudden, what happens? Buildings at 17.7 meters start sprouting up everywhere because it's cheaper. But where I live on the deck in Runcorn, these apartments that I live in, I still haven't said flat.
You've not.
You won't get me to do it. There's 6 buildings. 3 of them are above 18 meters, which is mine. 3 of them are below.
Yeah.
So half of us qualify for the government money, and the other half don't.
Yeah.
So we got told last year that pretty much ours is probably going to get paid for, but the other 3 aren't. So they're going to split it. They might split it between All of us. I like it to say, well, because of those extra 3 meters.
Yeah.
Or whatever, not even that, is it? 300, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Then yours is not safe. You've got to pay for it yourself.
It's.
But luckily, mainly because of Julie, lovely Slim Julie, she harassed and campaigned, got us in the Daily Mail, got it in the Liverpool Echo, got it on BBC News, ITV News, and it was quite high profile. The deck in Runcorn.
Could do with getting her to do me PR for Edinburgh.
yeah, it was really good. So she knows everyone. So because it was so prominent, she said. So Taylor Wimpey said, "We're going to put this fund in." Eventually, after they were harangued into it, they said, "We're going to donate not donate, but we're going to put 172 million quid or whatever into this fund to right some of the wrongs."
Yeah.
So Julie was like, "Well, because ours is so high profile, we're fairly confident that we'll be one of the ones that they make right." So they finally did say, I think it was in December, they finally said that they're going to pay for the rest of them to get done.
So they paid for all of yours.
So the three of them, the one I live in, is getting covered by the government kind of fund and levy and everything else. Taylor Wimpey are paying for the other 3.
Yeah.
So you think like, well, it's all sorted now. You've got this cladding, right? Have you heard about the insurance?
No.
Right. So 2080. So we pay as you do in all apartment blocks, you pay a management fee. Like
Ground rent.
Yeah. So it was like 75 quid a month, which wasn't bad.
Oh, let me guess.
Yeah.
They put that shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell you how much it went up by, right? So that £75 a month includes a caretaker. They do the gardens and they empty the bins, and they've got electricity and all that. And it also includes the building insurance. Yeah. So for the 6 buildings in 2019, before we heard about the 2018, yeah. So the year before we found out about the cladding, it was £32,000 for the year.
Can I guess what I think it's? It's all right. Okay, so £75 a month. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think that what would be reasonable would be if it's gone up by anything that brings it to just under 100 quid a month. Right. So I would think like a 20% increase with all things considered is like, it's not ideal. It's never good, but you go, I can kind of understand that. Yeah. I think that you're probably going to tell me that it was over double, like it was over 150. And if that's the case, then they are clearly
they're cleaning up. So I'll tell you the cost of the insurance, right? So we got quoted 32 grand a year, and that's just like standard quote. That's what it always was. Yeah. So 2019, we found out they've got the cladding, the Grenfell cladding. Yeah. It goes from £32,000 a year to £215,000 a year.
Oh.
That's in 2019.
Oh, shit.
So 2020, it goes up again to £500,000 a year.
From 32 grand.
Within 2 years. So we were saying, okay, like you were saying then, quite reasonably, you know what, it's not perfect, but we'd expect it to go up.
Yeah.
Maybe not to £214,000, by the way, but you'd expect it to go up because it's obviously more dangerous now. So in 2020, they put up to £500,000. So Julie Fraser was saying, okay, it's no more dangerous now in 2020 than it was in 2019. Yeah. How can you justify charging £500,000 a year for insurance? And they're like, well, that's what it is. You've had it too cheap for years anyway. And now this year it's like £550,000 a year. Mate.
So how much is your ground rent now then? Or?
The ground rent is about £350 a month.
Oh my fucking days.
Yeah, it's more than my mortgage. I'm in arrears with it. I pay more. I pay about 100. When I'm a bit flush, I pay 150 quid a month, but I don't pay any more than that. So I owe about £4,000 now, and that's just going to keep going up.
Oh fuck!
So even though the fighting for the cladding is kind of over, although we're still going to make sure that they make good on it.
But the thing is if your mortgage is, I mean, let's just say hypothetically, let's say your mortgage is 350 quid a month, and let's say your ground rent is 350 quid a month as well now. That is a mortgage on a 3-bedroomed house. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like that is, it's not like, that's just fucking insane. Yeah. Because so I've lived in an apartment. Apartments are nice. Fuck. I've lived in those places before. They are nice, particularly if it's just you.
Yeah.
It's nice, and you go, it's big enough for me, and you make it work. Houses are nicer to live in.
Houses are better.
I think they just are, just because you've got more space.
Especially, a couple of years ago during those lockdowns.
Totally. I started
lovely summer.
I started lockdowns in a flat, and I ended in a house.
Yeah.
And the difference was it not even close.
Oh, we kept seeing people on Facebook like, we were having a barbecue in the back garden. Can't even have a barbecue. Never mind have a back garden.
No, yeah, because one of your cinders.
Yeah. So it was fucking hot, and it's roasting as well.
Yeah.
They get baking up these fucking apartments. Everyone's like living their best lives in the gardens, building bars in the back gardens, and I'm stuck in this fucking pokey little apartment.
Yeah.
Still in a safe flat.
Oh, it's killed.
Yeah, so it would just make such a difference.
Yeah.
So we were trapped in these things, and I know officially you can only go out for an hour a day, but nobody took any fucking notice of that. Did they?
But I mean, at the same time, just having your outdoor space is huge.
Oh yeah, so that's when I got a bike in the end. Ended up losing quite a bit of weight because it just ended because I was working from home.
Yeah.
So I just got out on a bike for a couple of hours. Made a massive difference. Just that bit of fresh air.
Yeah.
Change of scenery.
Oh, it's huge. It's fucking.
So we were trapped, and there's some people. Like there was stories, we got on a few phone calls with MPs and stuff, and there was people telling their stories. Like there's this young girl, I think she was in Sheffield, where she bought the house like 10 years ago, or bought the apartment 10 years ago with a boyfriend.
Yeah.
First time they'd lived together. So 10 years down the line, they've now got married and they've got 2 kids.
Yeah.
But they're stuck in this tiny little apartment trying to raise a family that they can't
well, this was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
So you've got no kids, no?
No.
So
I don't know what, Freddie.
Hey!
Lads.
Don't know if Big Jules is keeping secrets.
There could be a few knocking around Runcorn.
So,
I've seen that episode. I know it's like not cool. Only Fools and Horses, where they go over to France, and there's loads of fellas knocking about with bald heads and white beards.
I can't say that I have.
It's not highbrow enough for you, is it?
Well,
Lee, wasn't it?
yeah. If there's one thing that you need to know about old Freddie Quinn, it's his highbrow.
Oh,
it's his highbrow comedy.
You see his TikTok videos. He's talking about too ill to have a wank and stuff.
Do you know what it is? God, I've not done too ill to have a wank in ages. What a bit. So I'm not really a British sitcom fan. I'm not really a sitcom fan at all.
Yeah.
Full stop, really. I watch American sitcoms occasionally and stuff. But stuff like Only Fools and Horses, never really got into it.
Well, see, I'm older than you, so I'm from that generation when it was on in the 80s.
Yeah.
But anyway, they go to France. Uncle Albert's died. They're going to see somebody, I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's loads of people knocking around with
yeah.
and white beards. That might happen in Runcorn in a few years.
But you're not like, so you're not concerned that your life path might change, and you'll go, do you know what? I'm going to meet a nice, I want
concerned about that.
Have a family or something like that, or whatever. You know what it's like. And you go, all right, okay. Or you might wake up one day and be like, I want to adopt 20 children. You know what I mean?
It's unlikely. But
get them all doing the flyering for giggles, Sha.
Yeah, actually, it's a good idea. You could always import something somewhere.
But you wouldn't be able to. You wouldn't. So your life is kind of restricted at the moment because of where you live. Because I mean, it's a lovely place. I've seen some of the pictures that you've put on Facebook. Yeah. It's clearly a very nice place.
Yeah, it's nice.
Decorated well, if I do say so myself.
Get a new lino down tomorrow.
But
I'll show you some photographs.
But at the same time, if I was being shown around, I'd be like, 300 and how much a month? Very nice, very nice, very nice. Oh, and yes, by the way, there is the extra additional charge of 300. I'd be like, what? £350 a month extra. I go, what? No, absolutely not. Under any circumstances, I'm leaving right now. Yeah, because you can buy a house with that money.
100%. But this is the next issue that we're fighting against is bringing the insurance.
But what's really interesting,
and we should get our money back.
Is what? Sorry,
I think we should get the money back.
Yeah, of course you should.
And we should be entitled to compensation. But
what's really interesting is, so why have the insurance company decided that they can bring it from 32,000 to 550,000?
Because they can.
Yeah, because no one else is insuring.
That's the only reason. Yeah, that's
no one else is insuring
the management company, who are now on our side.
Yeah.
They're all right. They go around to anybody, and they've got, obviously the building's got to get insured.
Yeah.
Doesn't, we're all going to be out on the streets, right? You can't live in a building that's not got any insurance. So they've just said, well, this is what it is, and there's no one else would touch it. And obviously someone's just gone, well, fucking Kerching, we'll charge them whatever we like, and they've gotten away with it.
Oh yeah. You're being screwed up against the wall and ass fucked into oblivion. What would you do to solve that problem? Is it something that the government should step in?
Well, this is another thing where we need the government to step in, and this is the next thing that Michael Gove is looking at, is that he's promised to get that sorted out.
Yeah.
Whether that's...
But I don't know how you can do that without setting up a specific government department that will insure these buildings at a market rate.
Well, it's whether they do like is it nationalised? When it's government owned or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. They should really be saying to the insurance companies, you can't charge any more. Yeah. But how they do it. But the issue is, and I don't know whether this is the case with the insurance companies, but with the building companies, again, this is my anti-Tory conspiracy theory head, was a lot of the big companies like Taylor Wimpey and a few of the others, they're also, as well as being the biggest developers in the country, they're also the biggest donors to the Tory party.
Yeah, of course.
So that's why Robert Jenrick
of course, that's not
would never want to rock the boat.
That's not a conspiracy at all.
It's just obvious, isn't it?
Look,
so it could be the same with the insurance company.
Here's the thing, is that Robert Jenrick will have been told, listen, okay, you need to sort this problem out, but for God's sake, whatever you do, don't piss off these people.
We need to get our money.
Yeah. Look, if you need to piss off a few voters or something, don't worry about it. Don't worry.
A few plebs.
But don't you fucking piss off the owner of this or the owner of that, because that is a problem.
Yeah.
And if you're Robert Jenrick, then you go, well, how the hell do I solve this problem without pissing it? All right, okay, I'll get the fucking, I'll get the tenants to pay for it. Yeah. And then you all go, absolutely not. And he looks ridiculous and he goes, oh, fuck. Right, think of something else. Shit. Who else can we get to pay for it? Can a taxpayer pay for it? No, that's not going to look very good. And so they just kick it down the road because he knows.
Well, that's what they kept doing.
He knows that there's no proper solution. And then the minute that you come along, and he's basically got no answers because it's an unsolvable situation.
No. So they basically there was a building safety bill and the fire safety bill. And to their credit, there was two Conservative MPs. I think one was from Southampton, one was somewhere. That kept pushing it to say, look, we've got to get this fire safety bill amended to make sure that these people aren't culpable. Aren't responsible.
Yeah.
To pay. So it kept going to the House of Lords. The House of Lords kept voting the amendment through. Then it kept coming back to Parliament, and the Tories kept voting it down.
Wow.
And they kept saying, well, no, it's not right. It shouldn't be on the fire safety bill. It's more appropriate it goes on to the building safety bill. Yeah. Because that will cover that. I don't know exactly how they said that, but that'll cover it in more ways. It's more thorough, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to vote it down for now, but it's in your interest that it goes into the bill. So the building safety bill comes in. Guess what? Yeah. Fucking voted that down as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, just wait it. So basically what they were waiting for is for us to just give in fighting and say, you know what? Let's just take that fucking loan. Let's get it off our backs, and we'll just get it sorted that way.
Yeah, it becomes a war of attrition, doesn't it?
That's what they hope for. It's similar. I don't want to say it's not similar at all because of what happened, but with the Hillsborough families and anything in those situations, they basically want you to just go away. Yeah. And they keep pushing and pushing and pushing until they think they've broke you.
Yeah.
But if that's taught us anything, it's no, we're not fucking having it anymore. If you keep fighting, because initially they gave, so the Manchester Gladiators, which you can't say without laughing, but they said, well, they fought and said, well, it's nothing to do with us. Yeah. You've got to speak to the management company, speak to the builders. But they kept pushing. They said, well, we'll give you £2 million. And well, that's not going to cover anything.
No, that's...
So they pushed and pushed for
less
ages.
than 4 years insurance, that.
That's it, yeah. So then they got theirs paid for in this particular block of apartments. So what they done then, because they're amazing people, was right, we're okay now. However, there's people up and down the country that aren't.
Well, this was going to be my next question on whether or not you all network with each other.
They do. They come to. They have big national events down in London that everyone goes to. We had one in Liverpool.
What a mental fucking scenario. That there's a massive convention specifically dedicated to people who've been massively fucked over that want their money back.
Yeah. And there's people out there thinking, well, they should pay for it themselves. What, Brexit. Email, cunts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we said it, we had a call about this time last year when we heard we were probably going to be all right. Or we could, in terms of getting the cladding done. And this guy, Derek Booth, his name is, he's having real issues now with his own mental health because I think he works in some kind of legal profession. So he was getting involved in the nuts and bolts of the contracts and safety forms and stuff like that. And I think it's took its toll on him. But he said, even though it looks like we're kind of in the clear for now, there's still people out there that need our help.
Yeah,
so we've got to keep pushing.
Yeah,
It's that great, amazing community spirit, which I don't think gets bigged up enough in the UK because we focus too much on all the negative shit.
Yeah.
When it comes to it, deep down, 95% of us, ordinary, decent people that will look out for each other. Yeah. That's how we ended up getting where we were because everyone just stuck together.
Yeah.
Because they just fucked us.
It's pretty tough, to be honest with you, and I don't think that they would have expected you all to sort of essentially mobilise the way that you did. And I think that there's power in numbers, isn't there? And look, I mean, at the end of the day, if the government fucks over one apartment block in fucking Runcorn, and that's 100 people that aren't going to vote for the government, and it's like, who cares? It's
100 people. Well, it's in a safe time. I'll tell you this, right? Again, another...
When it's thousands...
Yeah, in well-to-do areas as well.
Well, this is another thing as well, right? It's all so dependent on different factors that it's so hard to go, okay, blanket, okay, so this is the blanket rule. Because I think that if you have a £250,000 flat in Runcorn or something like that, and you're asked to pay 50 grand to do it, then it's like, well, no, you quite clearly can't afford that because that's a fifth of everything. And it's clearly anybody who could means test anything could go, well, this is how much he earns a year. That's clearly unsustainable for this person. But if this is a flat in fucking Chelsea in London, and it's full of fucking millionaires and shit, and they're going, can you pay us an extra 50 grand? And they're like, no, the government can pay it. It's like, no, fuck off, you can pay that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they're probably more likely to be the ones that would get money off the government.
Well, this is it, yeah.
And that did happen. Apparently in some areas, where these like well-to-do areas, theirs got sorted out.
Really?
Yeah, they got replaced, I mean, that's only a rumour.
Yeah.
But that was, apparently they get this fund together and it all got sorted out.
Yeah.
Like I said, a 50 grand bill to somebody in £1 million apartment is nothing.
Yeah, well...
And they probably still wouldn't pay it, but they've got the means to do it. And like I was saying about this, Robert Jenrick was like, well, we'll get you this 40, 50,000 pound loan, blah, blah, blah. Because to people like that, 40, 50 grand is nothing.
Yeah, it's just it's a pain.
If a member of the government, regardless of which party they're in, even Keir Starmer, if he wants to raise 50 grand, he's going to talk at someone's private dinner.
Yeah,
and get 50 grand like that.
Yeah, but it's even like
just work harder.
It's even like how they were growing up and stuff like that. So for me personally, 40 or 50 grand is an insurmountable amount of money. If someone said to me, you need to get 50 grand by next Friday, or I'm taking your fucking thumbs or whatever, I'd be like, well, I'm going to have to... Yeah, you might as well... legitimately, let's not bother rescheduling because I physically cannot get that much. I'll save your journey. Let's take them. Come on now. Whereas with other people, it's 2 phone calls. Yeah. And you can kind of get the money. It's going to sting, of course. It'll sting most people who aren't, know, uber... Even if you're a millionaire, I think 50 grand will sting, but it's possible.
They can. They could, like I said, they could just do a speech for somebody.
Yeah,
do a couple of dinners.
It's doable. I think that like people look at 50 grand the way I'd look at 5. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I could get a loan.
I could get it. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't have it just lying about the fucking house, but I could get it if I needed to.
Yeah, you could do. Yeah.
It's all about that, isn't it? And about sort of like, where you've grown up around and stuff like that and what you've had access to will sort of shape how you feel about the money and shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so hard just to make a blanket thing. I go, like, it's the same with builders, isn't it? Should every builder pay? Well, I think that the littler ones maybe not. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it should come to a collective of all those people that are in that industry, albeit it's not all their fault, but it's as a legacy of what has happened.
Yeah.
You know, and they've profited from it. Don't forget as well. They sold these houses. You know, my apartment cost me nearly said it then. You know, FLAT. Well, it cost me like 96 grand or something, maybe more actually, and now it's worth about 30 grand.
Shit.
Yeah, something 30 or 40.
How much would it have been worth if they didn't have this? Like,
well, it's hard to say, because another thing that happened was when I moved into it,
because you can't even remortgage, can you?
No,
this is it. You can't even
you can't do anything with it. Really.
Well, this is one of the things. Like, if I needed to get, I mean, I've recently bought a house, so I don't have 50 grand just knocking about for it.
Rub it in.
Yeah, no cladding either as well. No,
I know, I've got a garden. You fucking loser.
But if I wanted to, it's for most people the remortgage option is what you do.
Yeah.
But when it's worth so much less, you're like, fuck.
You got no chance. So I bought it. It was 2007, and then bought it 2006. Moved in 2007. Lovely apartments on the waterside. I had another house that I rent out. So I don't want to sound like a Tory, but I did. Within 6 months of moving in, global financial crisis, everything just fucking fell through the roof. Got 2 interest-only mortgages.
Oy.
Fell into quite a lot of debt over the last few years. Years preceding that. I'm getting myself back together now.
Yeah.
So I was stuck with 2 houses, or 1 apartment and 1 house, but that are in negative equity that I can't remortgage.
Yeah.
Stuck on interest-only mortgages as well.
Yeah.
So
you're not even touching that mortgage.
No, the house is just about getting all right now because the house prices are going up, but the apartment isn't. Yeah, I've got 13 years left, so in 13 years' time, they're going to say, "Oh, by the way, we want £86,000 off you."
Really?
I swear, here's me fucking thumbs. It's a down payment.
Take my thumbs.
Take me thumbs off.
Take me thumbs. I've not got it.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. I mean, it's brutal. It's a shame, really, because when you said they'd sorted it, I was like, oh, good. And then now it's like they've actually not. They've just walked into another problem.
Yeah, it's just the tip of the iceberg. But I mean, ultimately, I think it'll be all right. And I don't overly worry about it because I don't worry about stuff that I can't really do much about.
Control the controllables.
It's like the Dalai Lama said, if you've got a problem, you can fix it. Don't worry about it. If you can't fix it, there's no point.
Yeah. And it's not really anything that you can fix.
No, it's not my fault. I can't do much about it. I love living there.
Yeah. Well, that's a big fucking thing.
If I didn't.
I mean, where I lived, I hated it.
Yeah, no,
and so we had to really fucking fight to get them to fucking sort
I'm
that
very
out
fortunate
for me.
in that sense. I do love it. I've got a bar in there, you know, nicely decorated, as you said, Freddie. It's all right living there.
Yeah.
Because in 13 years' time, I'm probably going to have to fucking kill myself or something like that. So you can take over me gigs then if you want.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah, undercut me like Adam Rushton. I'm joking. I don't know what happened there. Nothing to do with me.
I'll tell you after the podcast. Yeah. I'll tell you what happened. Right, we are going to get going. It's been a pleasure. Where can people find you, Colin? What do you want to plug?
Well, the Giggle Shack mainly. So this June at the Brindley Theatre, we've got the Big Dog. We've got Clinton Baptiste, Barbara and Ice, and Paul Smith.
Yeah.
So tickets are on sale via the Brindley website, so the Brindley in Runcorn, not far from my apartment actually. And then just the Giggle Shack.
Watch live comedy and laugh at poor building regulations.
Yeah, just think, at least I'll live at my life.
Yeah, if you don't enjoy the show, look out the window and go, oh, thank fuck I don't live there.
Yeah, you could do, yeah. If you see me comparing him dying on my arse, thinking he's dying on his arse, and his apartment and his financial affairs are completely fucked. So I'll never be as fucked up as that fella is.
Yeah.
So it's the _Giggle Shack on Instagram and Twitter, and then just the Giggle Shack on Facebook. Yeah. Don't follow me. And if I do nothing interesting whatsoever.
If you find any of Colin's comedy posters around your local town, rip them down. He loves it.
Yeah, please do that. Yeah. I need more people to do that if you don't fucking mind. Don't worry.
Thank you very much for listening. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
This podcast has been sponsored by Outlier Distillery. They are the makers of the fantastic Hooley Manx White Rum, which is available right now on the Outlier Distillery website for just £34. And there's an extra discount code for everyone that listens to this podcast. Just enter Pigoted at checkout and you get yourself 20% off. Now, this was a company that was actually started in lockdown, and they make some fantastic drinks. I am a huge fan of this Holy Manx White Rum. As you can see, I've drunk nearly most of it already. It's a really strong flavour, and it goes great in cocktails and daiquiris and rum and cokes. So if you are a big drinker, if you're a fan of alcohol and you like white rum, then get yourself down to Outlier Distillery's website and get your code 20% off by entering Pigoted at checkout. This episode of Pigoted Podcast was sponsored by Taylor's Toys. Now, for OG listeners of the show, you'll know Taylor's Toys. They've been sponsoring us since the beginning. They are a sex toy company that specialise in making high quality produce, like you grow it. You know, they make good products that don't fall apart after a couple of uses, but they're at decent, reasonable prices as well. You can head over to taylorstoys.co.uk right now, check out the amazing range that they've got on offer, and if you enter the discount code PIGOTED at checkout, you get 20% off and you get free delivery on orders over £25. It is a fantastic thing to do, especially with Valentine's Day just round the corner. Head yourself over to taylorstoys.co.uk and spice some things up in the bedroom.